Welcome to Getting Back Up, where grief meets growth.
Two men, two fathers, and one shared journey of rebuilding.
We're talking about life after cancer, love, loss, and everything no one tells you.
Well, let's get into it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is David McLean from... Go ahead,
and
sir.
This is Jamal Jones.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. We're from Getting Back Up.
Finding life after loss. We've graduated.
That's right.
You know, we focused on life after death, but there's so many things that, you know, people can deal with and lose in this life and this thing we call life. And so we're graduating. Right.
I think we're so much in a time where we're just trying to figure out how do we get back what is missing to a great extent to the best of our ability. And yes, Jamal and I started this loss of our partners, but then we've graduated, as Jamal has said, to really about what is loss. How do we define it every day? How can we talk with each other to kind of figure out what can make sense moving forward to improve the quality of life that we have? So we happen to have somebody who knows quite a bit about that.
Yeah, we graduated from David's attic to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, yeah.
Here at Clark Atlanta University.
Yeah, and we were just walking down the street, right, Jamal?
Yeah, and we saw
and
this.
we ran into this guy. And I said, wait a minute, don't I know you?
I was lost.
He was lost. And so we brought him in, and why we were down here actually is I want to introduce someone I've known for quite some time. Actor, theater, stage, film, great father, great friend. It's Russell Hornsby. So thank you very much for coming by, Russell.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. Mm-hmm. We know the schedule of an actor, an accomplished actor such as yourself.
Yes, when you're working. Yeah. There is a schedule. right. When you're not, it's just kids.
Yeah.
What do they say about actors? You want to see somebody complain, give an actor a job?
Yeah, you say if you want to hear an actor complain, give him a job.
Yeah. I think you said that. Yeah. I remember that when you mentioned that. So we're kind of looking at this discussion with Russell in two ways and kind of in two parts. Russell had lost his mother not too long ago. And that's something, especially as grown adult children, we're seeing lots and lots of occurrences of this. And how do we reconcile with that? How do we kind of prepare for that? So that's kind of the place that we wanted to start, mm-hmm. Russell, as it related to your mother, to Eva Redd Hornsby,
yes.
who I've met on different occasions. So I think maybe just starting kind of in the beginning, mm-hmm. as it relates to where you grew up in the Bay Area, mm-hmm. and her household. So go back to that point when you were in that household.
Yeah, so born and raised in Oakland, California. We like to say the ISP in the spirit of the Panther. You know what I mean? There was always some kind of revolution happening, you know, in the house. You're going up against something, you know, living in Oakland. And, my mother raised a single parent household, myself and my brother, Jonevan. And she was my mother was in the Navy, and then she was a reservist, and then she was also in public health, mm-hmm. and she did that working primarily in high schools. Okay. And so, you know, she always had a relationship with young people, you know, with students and whatnot. And so I think because of that, she had a deft hand in how she raised my brother and I. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a lot of love, but a lot of discipline, mm-hmm. you know, mm-hmm. but a lot of understanding as well. You know, like for example, you know, my brother and I learned about sex very early because my mother being a school nurse and whatnot. And so she brought home a book, you know, called Show Me. And it was like this Dutch book or German book or something like that. And it's all so all these, yes. So, you know, but there's like naked, older men, women, and children in the book. You know what I mean? And it's talking
How
about.
old were you?
I was 9.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah.
like talking about masturbation and the vaginas and penises and things of that nature. And it's like, hey, like this is what it is. Like here you go. Like learn,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Copy for each of you.
right. And but we didn't think of it as anything other than what it was for. You know,
Yeah.
as to teach us. And we weren't. And because of how she sort of raised us, it wasn't like, ooh, ooh, ooh. It was
Yeah.
like, this is serious information you guys need to have.
Yeah.
And so when you fast forward that about 8 years, you know, my house was always like the house where everybody was always welcome. There was always food, and my mother was cooking stuff, and there was always just food in the house or whatever. So my mother she would have a bowl of Lifesavers candies. They came individually wrapped. You know, she had a big old bowl of Lifesavers, and she put condoms.
That's hilarious.
And she put a sign that said Lifesavers.
That's hilarious. that honestly, that reminds me. There's this book by Paul Beatty called White Boy Shuffle.
White Boy Shuffle, yes.
And it was very like his mom was very much like that. It
Yes.
reminds me a lot. I think it was based in California.
Yeah,
too, if I'm
yes, yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, a
so-
lot of things can go over there differently.
Right, yeah, you know, so very liberal in that way.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
we could
yeah.
have, you know, my mother went to UC Berkeley for a master's, and so
Yeah.
you know everything was very like loosey goosey, and you know,
Yeah.
everybody, you know, you grew up with parents who walk around like naked, like they were in a commune, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it was like, what? You know what I mean? Father's things flapping, you're like, you know what I mean? But it was just normal. You
That's
know?
hilarious. Yeah.
But yeah, so she was always just open about those kind of things
Yeah.
and just fun. And everybody's like, man, your mom's hella cool. Like,
Yeah.
your mom was always
Did it
like,
encourage questions? So, or did she just kind of lay it out and y'all figure it out? Or did
yeah,
you
she
question?
guys like you guys are smart. Like,
yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
and no, and it came to me, and I'm gonna roll by the house, get some of them Lifesavers. You know what I mean? And Kathy just come through,
And you hand them
grab a
mints,
thing. Oh no,
some
they would come
mints
in the
and
house
some
and just, you know,
Lifesavers.
grab
You don't
need to
the
look us in
Lifesaver
the handhold,
and
just take
keep
the-
pushing, you know, because I'm gonna save $1.99. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then she had the condom keychains and stuff like that. You know what I mean? She
Wow.
used to give about all the brothers, all the fellas, and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, my mom was like, she was the cool mom. You
That's
know what I mean?
cool.
And she'd
Yeah.
cuss you out. And,
Yeah, you said she was pretty direct. Given
yeah, well, you know, her being a sailor, she cussed like one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is how it went. And then, you know, of course, when they get older, they're like, not me.
Yeah.
They trying to get into heaven.
Oh yeah.
man.
Yeah.
They forget. They
Right.
forget.
Well, there's a personality of when you raise your kids, and then there's a personality when you disown them.
And especially when you become a grandparent.
And when you become a
and
grandparent,
some of those
yeah, it's
stories
like,
they don't
no,
want to.
that was never me.
Yeah.
But it was a good time, and Oakland was fun. It was just a different sense of community,
Yeah.
and culture. You
Yeah.
know, so we were always just part of that. Yeah, you know.
That's cool.
So you say something as it relates to the household, meaning your father's presence, or his influence, his absence. Your mother's, she's a young mother.
Yes, yes.
So say a little bit about that kind of.
Well,
dynamic.
I don't know if we realized how much we missed the presence of a father until I got older, right?
Okay.
So when we were kids, you kind of knew. When my dad was kind of around. You had the parent night, or the father night, Wednesdays, and then every other Saturday or something crazy, whatever that deal was. But my brother and I played a lot of sports. Okay. And so we always had like male influences through our coaches and whatnot. And she was really good about that, about making sure that we had that. And we did like Big Brother programs.
Yeah.
And then also, because she taught at high schools, so we would always be going up to the schools and be around all the sports activities that were going on, and just being around all the players. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they come home, grab you, give you a noogie, and you know what I mean, do all that kind of stuff. So you always felt like you had a big brother around. So we always had male influences, constantly, and so you didn't really feel like you missed a father. And also, you got to realize. I mean, I think like 7 or 8 out of 10 of all brothers growing up had single parents, right?
Parents,
so
fathers.
it was normal. You know what I mean? We
Right.
were the Bowery Boys or something
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
so that's all that, it was just normal. And so, but you try to run as stern a house as you can. And she was doing that until 14, 15, when hormones start raging. You start getting into a little mischief. And I think that was when she was at her wits'
She's
end.
like, I gotta call in heavy artillery.
And no, she did. And so she called my father and she said, it's time for you to take him. And I was like 14 I think my whole 8th grade year, I spent with me and my brother spent with my dad.
Wow. Oh.
And that was interesting. It's
culture shock.
It is. Like, food ain't the same. You know what I mean?
Stuff from the
refrigerator isn't as stocked as, you know what I mean? The cupboards are bare. You know what I'm saying?
Food lasts long.
Yes.
Food doesn't last as long.
That felt like a Charles Dickens novel. Like, please, Dad, I want some more. And I think, after that year, you kind of, you straighten up and fly right. We was like, Mom, take us back, please.
Yeah.
I swear we'll be good.
Okay.
And
so you guys didn't go big time in, well, Mom lets us eat Tang from the can and get Count Chocula and all like that?
No, that wouldn't. My dad, he's still a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, it's my house, my rules.
Okay,
like,
got you. Okay.
Obviously, you here for a reason, so this is how it's gonna go.
Yeah. What was the?
It was like Furious Styles.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
It was like, it was like
Hood.
in
Boys
Trey.
in the Hood.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It was like that, and it's like, this is how we gonna do it.
Right.
And you when there's no food, just let me eat.
Figure it out.
And then after a year, it was like, Ma, come on, can we come back home?
What was the dynamic between your mom and your dad at that time?
Oh, there was no dynamic.
It was like you could have him call me.
I mean, she called my dad every name but a child of God. Oh. she loved him from afar. you know?
Put it like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like you gotta. These are your kids.
Yeah.
So you gotta come take them and
Yeah.
have at it and like feel what it's like for him too. It's one of
Right.
those things.
Right.
And my mom would always mess around with us. I'm about to start going out and doing my
Yeah.
thing. And, but she missed us. But
Yeah, absolutely.
But she had her finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
Of knowing what young boys needed because she was in high school.
Yeah.
And she knew that boys need men.
Yeah.
And young men need men in order to become a man.
Yeah.
You have to understand they have to be able to put some fear in your heart. And a woman to young boys can only do that up to a point.
Right.
Right. And so I had to get that level of respect, my brother and I, for my mother again.
Yeah.
That was kind of waning.
Yeah.
Because you're doing sports and you're walking around and you think you got everything, testosterone's raising, you get muscles. You're like, I ain't got to listen to you. Hey, I'm. She goes, okay. But she was even keeled. So she would do things like the one thing she always did was she did what she said she was going to do. And if you messed up, it was like, I'm gonna take these car keys. You're gonna get back on the bus.
Right.
You can't go out. You can't go to the proms. You can't go do this. And that happened a few times.
Yeah.
And you learn really quickly that mom means what she says and says what she means. And so
The difference between privileges and rights.
Yes, yeah, and everything seemed to be a privilege. You know what I'm saying? Except eating. And then it was like, what are we going to eat? You know what I mean? If you're going to eat well, that's going to be a privilege. Here's food. You know what I mean? Again, Charles Dickens, gruel?
Yeah.
Man, okay, it was homemade gruel.
At least it was that.
At least it was that.
Exactly.
So you say you did have all these father figures in your life.
I did, yes.
Because of sports, and
Yes.
so did Jonevan as well. So with your father not in the house, kind of what was your role in the house? What was your relationship to your mother as older brother to younger brother?
Yeah. I definitely had that sort of man of the house sort of quality. My mother put, I think, a lot of responsibility on myself, and I think definitely emotional. I think that, and this I again realized later going to therapy and whatnot, that I phrase it differently, but I became her surrogate man. You know what I mean? And when she's putting, and this is how I knew a lot of how she felt about my father, because she expressed it. And most times you realize in retrospect to a fault, right? You're telling your 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old son, too much about what daddy didn't do, what the father does, and who he is, what you think about him, and all of those things. And you don't realize how much that affects you emotionally, right? And so you can't help but sort of carry that over as a level of resentment towards your father, because you know too much, and these are things that we know now you're not supposed to lay on your child's feet. You know what I mean? And they're supposed to their experience with a parent is supposed to be just that, their experience.
Right.
And but she did it mostly for me because I was the empath. I was the more emotionally intelligent child that she knew, and she just laid it on me, and that, I think, that begins to affect you later on. It kind of comes back.
I was going to say, do you think it affected you in the context of the man that you aspired to be, or more just these specific things I'm not going to do? Like, how do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think you know the man I aspired to be was definitely I wanted to be married. You know what I mean? And then
and do things differently.
Yeah. And communicate. With my spouse, with my wife differently. I think by virtue of being an actor, being an artist, you know what I mean, being tapped with your emotions, I'm probably a little bit more effusive emotionally than she probably would like everyone, you know what I mean?
Right.
But that's, you take the crooked with the straight. And then also with my children, very affectionate as a father, my mother was very affectionate with us. But also, I went to all boys Catholic high school in Berkeley, St. Mary's College High School, and it was just a different time. But we were with, again, it was at the time it was primarily black, and a lot of us, we communicated about our emotions, about our feelings, and we hugged and we told each other we love you. I love you, man. I love you, brother. Yeah. And we're all very close and very tight to this day. Yeah. And because of that, I think that has helped how that has impacted me in a positive way of how I talk to my sons, the affection and love that I show them, giving them a big hug, kiss on the cheek. Hey, Dad loves you. When we're doing the FaceTime, you get Daddy kiss me. You do one of those, And I think it's important, and to know that their father has a certain amount of affection and emotion, for them.
Well, I mean, I think that's. One, I think it's amazing that your school did that, right? Because I think especially during the
it was
90s,
rare. It was a rare time.
That was rare, if not completely absent on almost every level, right? And particularly education, even in community programs, right? So I think that was definitely something where between the pressure, so to speak, that your mom put on you.
Yes.
But then also this environment that nurtured openness and expression, particularly for young black men, right? Yeah, you were set so far advanced and ahead of so many other people in our age group, right? At that point in our lives.
Well, because you had some place to put it, And I think we were able to, because everybody was going through similar experiences, with their parents and their mothers, and whatnot. And at that time, a lot of those black mothers were just at wit's end.
Yeah, they were.
You're young. They're young. Sorry, you're looking at you're looking at the crime rates. You're looking at drug rates. You're looking at murder. All of these things that are happening in Oakland and other cities, and all they're saying, I just want my kids to be safe.
Right.
But where is the man to protect them? Right. To check them. And so as we were coming up, we said, all we have is each other. We had to do as best we can with each other. And our religion teacher, Mr. Harper, a black man, he said, and he would basically in a sense told us that, all you brothers have is each other.
Yeah.
And you got to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe more now versus then, you realize what she has lost at that time? Because, go ahead. I think you know where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, she's trying to hold on as tight as she can because this is all she has. Because there was no one there to love her the way she deserved to be loved, desired to be loved, and believed in what the marriage was going to culminate into, you know what I mean? And they lived happily ever after, you know? And so she realized, I believe now in retrospect, she got a bum deal. You know what I mean? And I think you carry that pain and that resentment for a lifetime. Right? And I don't think she never got over it. Even so much as knowing even in the later months towards her end, it resurfaced. You know what I mean? And I'm asking myself, is that her or is that, the illness, affecting her? But and we would have these conversations, you know, like as I got in my 20s, mid to late 20s, and she'd bring up my dad, and I said, oh, Mom, let's hold on. First of all, that was your marriage.
Right.
That wasn't mine.
Right.
That's first and foremost. Secondly, you told me you've been going to therapy. What happened?
Right.
Like, you was the queen of therapy. Like, I started doing it because you told me we went together as a family a couple times. You know what I mean? And you said what happened? Like,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Why this is?
Right.
Go back to the therapist. So don't come talking to me about it. Because it wasn't like a resolution. You know what I mean? There was no resolution that she was saying. This is what I learned. I want to share this.
She wasn't moving forward.
She wasn't.
It
Thank
felt-
you.
yeah.
She was not moving forward.
Yeah, she was still stuck.
She was still stuck.
And so
In that
many
past.
people, so many people in those traumatic relationships, they don't move forward. They get stuck in the pain.
Absolutely.
And it creates and kind of manifests into other things, right? You talk about, we talk about, like, in cancer, it metastasizes.
Yes.
Right? It metastasizes into something else.
Absolutely.
Into this other place, into how am I going to parent? How am I going to embrace other relationships?
Yeah.
How am I going to treat my children when they get into their relationships and treat their partners? Like, we don't think about, like, our parents, many cases who deal with trauma don't think about that element and that dynamic and how that projects itself, right? So I think, I agree. I think it's
Well, and she realized metaphorically speaking, I think that her loss of her spouse, she died inside, and then so therefore she couldn't get back up.
yeah.
And so when you do that, and then you look as your boys get older, you have nothing to hold on to, right? Because she taught us to be self-reliant and independent. So and we're boys into men, so we're going out blazing trails for ourselves. Say, Mom, I'll see you later. You know what I mean? I'll send word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you don't come back home the same as much as you used to. You don't even call as much as you used to because you're blazing a trail. You're trying to, figure it out. And also, she raised us to not be mama's boys.
Right. Right.
Much to her chagrin now. You know what I mean? Then, you know what I mean? It's like, everybody's, I ain't got no husband, my kids gone. Yeah. And, they don't call us, they don't write the same, and we don't go on trips, and you know what I mean? No vacations. And
so she never dated? She never?
Not of note, a couple guys she fancied. But I don't think it ever, materialized into anything greater. And again, other than the joys of seeing her boys graduate from college and sort of do great things, those are moments. Right? They're just quick moments. And then so you still find yourself back home by yourself, watching, Jeopardy and, Matlock, reruns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and that's sedentary lifestyle on a certain level,
So there's this whole, and you kind of spoke to it, but there's this whole side of your mother you wish you had met or wish she had developed into that you'll never now get to understand or witness.
Well, I think because, again, we have to look back at that time. It was really about surviving, not necessarily thriving. I don't think people understood the whole notion of to thrive.
Right.
Probably until the early aughts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we about to go out here and really do something. Versus, again, raising your black children, making sure they're safe, making sure that they're educated, and then ushering them, out of the way, and then praying that they'll be good contributing citizens of the world, right?
Yeah.
And then you're seeing things manifest differently. So I forgot what the question was.
No, just essentially that because your mother was preparing you all for this, there's a facet about her that you maybe wish you had seen or never could have seen, and now you'll never have that opportunity to see that.
And so thank you. Because me and my brother were doing, and I was doing what I chose to do, being an artist, being an actor, I had to go get it. Failure was not an option. Right. So you don't take time to say, let's stop, pause for a minute. Hey, Mom, you want to go take a trip to Mexico? Hey, Mom, we should go to Canada.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, why don't you come out to where I'm staying for the next 6 months and come just stay up here with
Yeah.
me, and I'll show you around. I'll show you, this, that. Those things never dawned on me.
Yeah.
It was just, I have to figure out. And so I didn't get to see my mother in those joyous places, outside of Oakland, more or less.
Yeah.
So, we didn't get a chance to see each other explore the world, the country,
Right.
other dynamics of like, let's build memories together
Yeah.
outside of growing up in Oakland. And so when I hear stories about her from others, and stories she had told me about when she was in the Navy and traveled all over the place and would come back with gifts and, all the kind of stuff like that, they say, man, your mother she was a traveling wizard. She just
Right.
went everywhere and bring us gifts back and tell everybody you need to go see the world, you need to travel and all this kind of stuff. And your mother was a great traveling partner. We did all this.
These are the surprises you learn
Yeah, you
during
learn
the
during-
celebration of life.
Right.
Yeah, and that whole-
And just all this from her brothers and sisters, too, who, before that,
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I never got to see who she was,
Right.
outside of just being my mother,
Yeah.
and raising me, and
Well, part of it too. I mean, I imagine, to your point earlier around her heart being broken. There was probably, I'm assuming that there was one. I raised these boys to be independent
Yes.
and go off and do their
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to burden them with my burden, but then also some element of this brokenheartedness and not being able to move forward to an extent, not really enabling you to even have the opportunity to see this person who she was before you guys were, right? This woman who she was before you guys were even, here.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
there's no room for it.
Yeah.
There's just really, no room for it. I mean, again, I think that's survival. That's the single parent household. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else to say, let me take this burden off your shoulders.
Right.
Well, I'll take care of this while you're doing that.
Right.
And then we'll meet back
Yeah.
and we'll be able to do some other stuff. You know what I mean? There's not a spouse to say, hey, you know what? Let's take a drive up to Napa Valley and let's go to the Tahoe and
Yeah.
go skiing and
Right.
do all that kind of stuff. It's like, hey, the rec center is letting the kids go skiing for $25. You know what I mean? Bye, kids.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sears and
Right.
And for her, for the single parents.
Like a day and a half. It's
Yeah.
like,
I get a break.
Calgon, take me away.
Oh, I hear
you know,
that.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's what you come back and you're like, she's like, taking a sigh of relief and then coming back, okay, dinner's ready.
Yeah.
And I think that's a constant.
Yeah.
And so I think parents, and also when you're dealing with trying to make those ends meet,
Yeah.
who got time to have some joy inside their tears?
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until later when, you start to do well for yourself.
Yeah.
And you can go to certain places and do certain things. And like even my mom will get a smile on her face when I come back home and, I'm kind of noticeable or, recognizable. And she'd look around, we'd be at a dinner someplace. And she's like, does somebody recognize who I'm with?
Exactly. Yeah.
And, it used to pain me because, I would always say like, well, Mom, this is, act like you've been here. Right. Like, she ain't been here.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
I'm
it's new.
saying,
It
Mom,
is new.
calm down. Like,
Yeah.
relax, come on now.
But it's the way she expresses pride.
Of course.
In
Of
the
course.
product
Yeah.
of what she did,
What she
because
did.
she couldn't enjoy.
Yes. Right.
But she wanted you all to see the fruits of whatever that labor that you all
Absolutely.
had.
And,
You
and she
John
deserved to
Evans.
gleam in it, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how she knew how to show
Yes.
it.
And as typical young kids, you're kind of embarrassed by it and you're trying to dim her light.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you realize that later. Somebody says, man, that's your mama. Man, let your mom do the thing.
Yeah,
you know
right,
what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
you
a
only
tug of
realize
war.
it later on, don't you?
You
When
only
you're
realize
older and you
it.
realize that,
I should have let her, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, now she had many moments, though. Just, you know what I mean? Let's understand that.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first, second, or third time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she had some good fun, and I was very proud that she could witness that.
Yeah.
That she got a chance to see the end. You know what I mean? Not the end, but like just to see me get to pinnacle.
Yeah.
Right.
And because when I was choosing to go to college, and I said, Mom, I want to be an actor, and she was like, you'll be living out my dream. So And I said, okay. She said, oh, you can do it, just don't quit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that helped a great deal. So then that's what I'm saying. You realize, like, I lived out her dream, and she's proud even more because this was something that she wanted to do, and had sort of the expressive nature of which to do it, but was told to be practical and pragmatic and go get a real job.
So she succumbed to dementia.
Yes,
ultimately.
Yes, she did, and then dementia, Alzheimer's is one of the
it's
same.
the same family.
Yeah.
What? So in that, because my grandmother also succumbed to dementia. For me, I recall the things that when I would go see her, the things obviously as it progresses, it gets worse, but then you start seeing the glimpses. When you realized it was a thing, what was the part of it that was the most difficult?
That when they start to tell you what some of the symptoms are, we go, then this was happening 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like just the anger, you know what I mean? And the lashing out. And, you know, my mother would call me up and cuss me out. Yeah. Like, mother, jumping, you owe me, where's my money? You owe me $10,000 and I get you. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Motherfucker, if you ain't got my money, don't come on. Like, I was like,
wait a minute.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You know what I mean? Mama. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what you realize, like, we could have dealt with this and been more sensitive to it early on. And I think my brother and I speak for myself, we're in denial. Because my mother had been so strong for so long. We just figured you're just, man, Mom, you stronger than that. Come on, Mom.
That's a tough thing to
You know what I mean? Like, what's up? You know what I mean? When she was, you know, just dealing with fragility and everything like that. Mom, just listen, Mom, the reason why you gained a little weight, if you walked a little bit more, like you always used to, you'd be better. You know what I mean? And we didn't come to her aid, I think, as soon as we could have and should have, because we were in denial by thinking, that's our strong black mom. Right. Like, mom's from the Navy. Mom, you know what I mean? Mom used to whoop motherfuckers' asses, you know what I mean? And do all that kind of, that's the mom we know. That's the only mom we know. We don't know this fragile, you know what I mean? Missing thing, forgetful, and, you know, needy. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know, mother.
But didn't know how to ask?
Didn't know how to ask, and we just we weren't sensitive. I think it's, you know, I think it's more that. I think it's more on me and my brother than it was on her ability or willingness to ask. Because I think that, you know, what do they say, you know, once you get a certain age, the parent becomes a child kind of thing. And so she valued who we are and who we were at the time enough for, if we would have said, Mom, listen, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. If we had taken a leadership role and been just more forceful about what we needed her to do or what we're seeing, then I think everything would have been a little bit smoother. And I think we would have helped make the transition a little easier and a lot sooner. And I believe that her days just would have been better, you know, because we would have started earlier.
Do you guys talk about that? You and your brother, do you guys talk about?
No, quite honestly. You know, these are things that I've gone in therapy and talked about. These are things, to me, they're just, you talk to other friends about it, and it's just, it's what is. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't deny it. It's like, that's, you know, and also hearing other stories, you know, about people and dealing with certain signs and whatnot, and really just being in denial. Yeah. And that was born off of the fact that I had a career that was doing very well. Yeah. And so in your heart of hearts, in my spirit, I was like, man, just hold off for a minute. Things are going too good. Like, knowing that if something detours in any way, I'd be like, oh. And I was more focused on that in that moment than I was on having to stop and press pause and take time out to go, hey, I need to take 3-4 months to make sure my mom is good. You know what I mean? I mean, I would go see her and fly out there and stay with her for a week or so like that. But it wasn't like what she ultimately would have needed of, like, as her son, to say, all right, let me stop.
Yeah.
Let me go to the house. Let me make sure this is right. Let me make sure that is right. Go to the doctors with her. I mean, she had some support, but it's her sister. But she would have liked us.
And
me
also,
my brother to be there.
again, it's retrospective, right?
No,
you would have liked that time,
of course,
right? Like
Yeah.
she would have appreciated it and to some extent needed it, but you both needed it.
right. I think you both needed, like you said, in retrospect.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because again, you're thinking that's my strong mom. She's she's been doing her thing. I'm in denial, so she'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'll get there when I'm finished. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And get there. That's 2 months later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they do call out, or she did call out for help or a longing, and you misread the cues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like when the calls come more frequent. They used to be once a week. Now it's twice, then 3 times, all in a turnaround of 10 days.
Yeah.
You realize, she was reaching out.
Yeah.
Like, I need you, or I need to talk. And I think, but that was part of our misconnect because of what she poured on me when I was younger.
Yeah.
This is when I start to feel it.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of pushing her away.
Like, I don't want
Because
this
that communication should be coming from her.
again.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would come back. It would resurface. Well,
Yeah.
remember the time your daddy, I was like, Mom, I don't want to hear all this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so you push away, or the call is brief because that's going to come back. If I'm on here 15 more minutes, I'm going to be on here for another hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of married, that's in there too.
Yeah.
And so I took my responsibility for it and knowing that I was at fault to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also understand the reasoning why.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
I was gonna, how you internalize.
Yeah.
Ultimately internalize that, but yeah.
Yeah, and then, and then so when we look up when I knew she was in 24, summer of 24. I knew we were getting close to like things were gonna have to come to a point, and like it's about the time to act. My brother and I were talking a little bit more, and there was more conversations between her sister and, hey guys, your mom's not, this is happening. She's forgetful. She's wandering and leaving the house and taking long walks. You know what I mean? And so I said to the God, and I said, just let me finish this. I said, if you let me get out of this, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
And so I finished at the middle of July, went on a 2-week vacation with the family, and the day I get back, I get through customs, I get back, and my phone, turn the phone on, phone comes up, my brother calls and said, Mom had a stroke. I said, boy, God, you got me, boy. You know what I mean?
He said,
inside, I started laughing. I
Yeah.
said, you know what I mean? No, I said, you kept your word.
They say God's you have to be very specific.
Yes.
You have to be very specific
Yes.
with your prayers.
And I was, and no, that's what I'm saying. You gave me a little time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I smiled inside. I just said, all right, I got you. I got you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
Went home, packed a bag. The very next morning, went up, and was just from that moment on was just on the ground, like day after day, week after week. We were conversing about it. You know what I mean? And that was my time to do for her what I hadn't done. And also, my time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
There was a very impactful moment, and this was the moment. So I had left. I had been there for like a week. I said, I'm gonna go home, take a couple days, kiss my kids, hug my wife, you know what I mean, do that kind of thing. And I get home, I get back to my house at 5:45. I get a call from the facility, and they said, your mother collapsed again. She has to go back to the hospital. And I said, okay. I was literally gonna turn around and get back on the plane. I called the hospital. Doctor said, let's wait till the morning. We'll know better how serious it is, whatever. So morning came, about 8 o'clock, got a call. I said, hey, you need to get up here. So my wife chose to come with me, and I was so glad she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get up there, get to the room, and she's in the emergency room. And she says, hey, there he is. Like, and as I'm walking through, all the nurses are like, your mother's been asking for you for the last 5 hours or whatever. Your mother's been asking for you. She says, hey, there he is. And my mother was just, and just, and I said, Mom, yeah, this Russell is my son. What's up? You know what I mean? That's Denise and everything like that. And then she says, where's your brother? Where's Jonevan? And I said, no, Mom, Jonevan's in New York. She says, she said, call him. And then she says, tell everybody the party's over.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
And I stood there for another 45 minutes.
Wow.
And we just conversed and talked. And I said, oh, Mom, go get something to eat, go get some coffee, whatever. And we went to the courtyard or whatever, and I bawled my eyes out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I knew right then
Yeah.
it was over.
Yeah.
And like now it's not about necessarily saving her life. It was more about saying goodbye.
Yeah.
With whatever time you got left,
Yeah.
Yeah.
say goodbye. And that became my approach. Everything is just however long she's got, a month, and I knew in my heart of hearts it wouldn't be a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you start to look at everything, you start to weigh everything, and you go, this woman's tired.
Yeah. And you know her history.
Yes.
You know her, and yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we know her. You know her history, life, and everything like that, and that's what you realize when old folks say they tired. It's not like tired. I always want to leave, but it's like no, life has been. I've been kicked by this motherfucker for too long.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
But I also think, Russell, in that moment, she was saying to you, it's okay, baby.
That's it. Yeah.
In the very simplest way that we do, right?
Yep.
It's okay. All that stuff doesn't matter. You're here.
Yep.
And I want you to know the party's over. I am so glad to see you because I
Yeah.
am on my way
Yep.
out.
Yeah.
You must.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
take solace in that.
Okay.
And even in so much as, went up there, have, friends up there, and my god sister Michelle, who's up there.
Yeah.
We rekindled our relationship and became very close.
Yeah.
She was very instrumental in helping my mom find an assisted living facility and just helping me navigate Oakland that I didn't know how to navigate.
Yeah.
And at about Christmas, she says, man, I just proud of you. You've come back here and, helped your mom out. She's like, I'm really happy for you. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? And and that gave me joy.
I know that felt good to hear.
It felt good because
Yeah.
I just I smiled inside. I said thank you, because it is noticed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is being noticed. And then so when we celebrate her 80th birthday in January 27th of 24. 24. So it turned 80, so we just got octogenarian. And but through December and January when I go back, she kept saying, I want to go home. And I said, Mom, because they said you can't go back home. So I said, Mom, we're getting work done on the house. She goes, yeah, but I want to go home. So my Aunt Sassi, her sister, told me that the night before she passed, Wednesday, she tells one of the nurses at the facility that I want to go home. And they said, yes, Miss Hornsby, sorry, but we have, they're doing work on the house, everything like that. And she told the nurse, she said, I can show you better than I can tell you. And then that's when I realized, no,
That's not the home.
that's not the home, boy.
Right.
And, but I did not, I couldn't, connect it.
Yeah.
But my grandmother said the same thing before she passed.
They know.
They know.
They know. Yeah.
And so, but and so when I received word, I was I was relieved. In all honesty, I was relieved, and like you said, that I had got a chance to say goodbye and be there, and give her that last 9 months of love and affection and
attention.
and attention. Thank you. And attention, and it was I had, like I said, I already said my goodbyes, and had reconciled with the fact that I'm gonna lose my mother, my backbone,
Yeah. What do you want people to remember about your mother as we kind of close out this segment?
Yeah.
What do you want them to remember about your mother that they may not know?
That my mother was full of love, boy. I mean, she working in public health in schools, and this is what students would always tell me when I meet them. They said, "Man, your mother," and some would say, "Your mother saved my life for this reason." Man, your mother always had some food or had something for me, or your mother cussed me out. And told me that my shit was stinking
When it was needed to be said.
Yeah, and they said, and then they realized, man, like we would have a lot of students that me and other students would commiserate about the nurse, Miss Hornsby, and they said, man, if you got a cursing down by Miss Hornsby, that was love,
Right.
But she loved hard.
That's good.
She loved really hard, and she just she was always a breath of fresh air. Every time she walked in the room with a burst of energy and just vibrant, had a smile that lit up a room.
Yeah.
And as I do, love to dance. You know what I mean? And that was, I like to say it's like you excising the demons. You know what I'm saying? Like, get thee from me, Satan. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna dance this out of me, boy. You know what I mean? And I practice that too. But no. And she was witty, funny, boy, funny. She'd just tell you like it was, like they say, like it TI is, and you appreciated that. And you always knew where you stood, So and I'll miss her, but I know, and that's this I do understand when they say this. I know she's in a better place. I know what that means now. And the other one, as I figured out when my grandmother passed, is she's resting in peace. I didn't understand what that meant before my grandmother passed, but I understand. She's in a better place, resting in peace.
Yeah, we'll finish that on out that way. Russell, we really appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, definitely.
Yeah, this is an important conversation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Especially as we're older parents, we're older adults with our mothers, fathers passing away, and there's a sense of loss that we ourselves feel, but then we understand their whole life of living that they have lost and sacrificed for us. So we're so glad to hear
Appreciate
about
you sharing
I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the
Thank
opportunity.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Getting Back Up, Finding Life After Death. If something in today's episode spoke to you, pass it on, because somebody out there needs to hear it.
For sure. We're on all the social mausoleums. So follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Mostly it will be in the form of Get Back Up Podcast.
And be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast.
And remember, getting knocked down is part of life.
But getting back up, that's how we live.
We'll see y'all next time.